Welcome to Real Talk, Woman to Woman, with Dr. Michelle Norman. Episode 3, How Will I Know? Whitney Houston sang a song that was very popular that asked the question, how will I know if he really loves me? This is a common question for people who are in a relationship that's now developing and new, because you know how you feel when you see that person walk into the room or hear that person's voice on the phone. But you want to know, does that person feel the same about me? Stevie Wonder said it in his song, Do I Do? Implying, do I do for you what you do for me? Everybody wants to be in this mystical moment of bliss where I love you just as much as you love me, and we ride off into the sunset. But the truth is that magic is hard to find, so we often settle for less than what we really want. In our impatience, we adjust the dream and lower our expectations and standards for right now, rather than waiting for the right one. Some people know what they want in a mate because they've been dreaming about the perfect relationship since they were 5 years old. Others don't necessarily know what they want, but are very clear on what they don't want, because experience is a good teacher. Among the things you should look for in a mate, make sure there is mutual respect, sincerity, and above all, genuine love. These are foundations that you must build upon if your relationship is going to survive. Now, I know some of you are going to say, nuh-uh, there's some other things. I hear you. We'll talk about those things another time, but right now, let's focus on these 3. And you'll see what is so important to recognize in terms of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about toxicity. Yeah, I'm back on that. And why? Because it's so important that you know just how damaging toxic behaviors are. Toxic behaviors can be subtle or overt and can create harm, emotional distress, and unhealthy relationships that lead to negative outcomes, regardless of whether the relationship is personal or professional. Emotionally, they lead to feelings of unwarranted insecurity and anxiety. They take away your ability to trust anyone, even yourself. They fester into feelings of isolation and disconnectedness, and you often are left disillusioned, disconnected, and devalued. No one deserves to feel any of that. Eliminating toxic behaviors is one of the keys to healthier, more supportive relationships. Otherwise, it will eat away at your respect, sincerity, and ultimately, genuine love. So what are the toxic behaviors? Last episode, I talked about the people who always cause a conflict. You know those people, they're always sort of defensive, and it doesn't matter what you say, they will respond with the opposite. And if you criticize them, they're always defensive, and they are often hostile and refuse to acknowledge their own mistakes. but still find the time to criticize you or overemphasize your minor mistakes and flaws. And I talked about those who are always seeming to turn their problems into your problems and find a way to blame you. You know, you're the whole reason why they can't do better or why they can't move ahead, and you made them do this or you made them do that, and that's why their life is so bad now. And they're always projecting their situation onto you. I also talked about the narcissistic person who constantly needs you to show and tell them just how great they are and how much you admire them, but they never do the same for you. In fact, they are not concerned about you at all. They are drowning in their own sense of entitlement, which is why they consistently belittle others. Well, today, let's add a few more characteristics to watch out for. Now, some of them are overt and you recognize them right off, and others are more subtle. But all of them are destructive. Now, some of the overt behaviors are hostility and aggression. They are always responding to you in anger, intimidation, hostility, blowing small things out of proportion and using emotional and verbal abuse and threats and maybe even physical aggression. This is probably the most toxic of all of the behaviors, and it may even cost you your life if you don't recognize it and remove yourself. Now, if this is your situation, I want you to get out now, not later. Then there's gaslighting, making you doubt yourself, doubt your own memory, your own reality, and they deny something that you said or did even when there's evidence. Yeah. These are the people who are trying to make you think you're crazy. Then there's those who have controlling behaviors, dictating what you should do, how you should think, or who you should hang around. Just micromanaging every little aspect of your life, regardless of your desires or your intentions. Then there's victimization. You know these people well. These people always play the victim. They're just manipulating you for sympathy. Nothing ever goes right for them, and everything always happens to them. Michael Franks had a song that said, "Don't touch that phone." And then he talked about a friend that when they always call, there's always something wrong. Never anything good. Now, some of the more subtle behaviors include manipulation, where they try to control or influence you through being deceitful, guilt trips, or just plain old playing mind games. They make you feel guilty for not agreeing with them, or use some sort of emotional tactics so that they can get what they want, even if you know that what they want is not a good thing. And there are those who are passive aggressive. They indirectly respond to you by, instead of just expressing their anger or frustration openly and having a discussion, they'll do things like quiet quitting, or giving you the silent treatment, or making little sarcastic remarks, or trying to sabotage things on the low. Some even go so far as to just withhold affection. Having the conversation is much easier. And then there's that good old green-eyed monster, jealousy and envy. You know, these people are just so full of resentment and being threatened by the success of others and their achievements or their possessions, what they have and what you don't have, and possibly even trying to undermine or sabotage you because of their envy. So I want you to be on the lookout for these 10 behaviors and put them on a checklist of the deal breakers for any budding new relationships. Now, if there are people in your essential circle that display any of these, observe and begin to collect your evidence so you can strategically plan the difficult conversation you need to have. Remember, I said the first step was determining who were the people exhibiting toxic behaviors? Well, the second step is identifying all of their behaviors and noting which are toxic and which are not. You know, figuring out if there are more good behaviors than bad behaviors. You need to know this and weigh them. Now, the third step requires that you inspect your participation in all of the interactions. What role did you play in perpetuating the situation? Yes, you need to take a deeper dive into the pool of self-reflection. Honest self-awareness is necessary for change. Before you can have a well-planned, carefully thought out, strategic conversation, you must own your stuff. Now, I know this step is more difficult than the first because sometimes when you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see, especially if you realize that you have toxic behaviors of your own. But remember, you have to start with you and choose you, because only you can change you. You cannot have the difficult conversation with anyone else until you have it with yourself first. You have to decide that you are worthy of having better, of doing better, of getting better. Now, once you have the conversation with yourself, then you can decide the boundaries you want to establish and list all of those deal breakers that you will not tolerate and plan the courageous steps for moving forward. Sometimes moving forward means walking away and being okay with that. Nothing in this process is easy. Deciding to become better may require help from others, like family or friends that will hold you accountable for your decisions, or even professionals that can guide your steps in this new mentally and or physically healthier you. But whatever you decide, know that you are not alone in this journey. Find your people, a community of others trying to do better, trying to be better. You will know that they're your people because they respect you, and the interactions you have with them are sincere and well-meaning. Before you know it, you'll be surrounded by genuine love. This has been Real Talk Woman to Woman. I'm Dr. Michelle Norman. Please follow and share this podcast. Enjoy life on this journey of becoming better.